Hello. Today we're going to be building a rocket stove. You may have seen these on YouTube before, and they actually work. Because I'm backtracking. On this video, I'm actually filming this part last. And you're going to be able to see that by these pieces of pipe that I've got. As you can see, they're kind of burned a little bit. You can see, and I don't know how these are going to hold up in a long-term usage. I'm thinking this is going to be temporary, but this is just a prototype. I can use other material that will accept heat and never break down, cast iron. But right now we're doing it on the cheap just to see how things are going to go. Got the concept down, and I think you're going to enjoy what the final product's going to be eventually. You won't see it on this video, but you'll see this actually been put to use and prove my version of the rocket stove and why it works will be better explained than any other video. Anyway, what we have here is a 4-inch elbow, and you can maneuver it, it twists and turns. This is just I guess a coupling, and you can see this little ridge here. This comes in handy when you're putting it through, drilling holes and wanting to seal it up tight. And this one here is just a 4x3 reducer. And as you can see, I've ran this, and I had some stuff on here like tape to hold it in place temporarily instead of using some screws. But when I do the final product, I just probably use the screws to hold it in place. Anyway, that's what we got. This is the burn chamber. This is what's going to be sticking out of. It's going to be encased in concrete. This whole thing will, and this burn chamber radiates through the concrete. Now that's not really an insulating factor for making the rocket. That's going to come in higher, but this concrete here is going to be holding the heat. And when this goes out, this concrete will be hot a lot longer than after the fire goes out. It can still radiate heat from that. So that's the whole purpose of that. So as this goes up, I go with a piece of 3-inch pipe. Okay, so get that fire shooting up, and I'm not sure. I think there's a 3-foot piece, and then this angle here allows me to put another piece of pipe over this, turn one of these bigger upside down, slide it over, and we insulate around this pipe. Insulation around this pipe creates that rocket effect. And between the inside temperature of the stack coming from the burn chamber and the outside temperature, that's what creates that vortex, that spiral effect. And those syngases from the fuel you're using at the base, it's burning at the base, actually ignite again at the top. So here is what the top, the next layer, it's 4 by, I think 4 by 6. I'm not sure. Maybe it's 4 by 3, 4 by 5 reducer, and it just goes over. And then you're putting one over top of the other, just like that. And you can see how it kind of stops right there. And you can see where I taped that one there too. It's burned off, but it was perfect for just hold it in place for a moment. and you know, there's the tape on that one. So it didn't even get that hot up at that point to melt that tape, and you'll see that it got plenty hot. But there's inside the 3-inch, and then on around the perimeter of this, there will be perlite as an insulator. You know, it's volcanic ash, so I can't imagine anything having a better insulating factor than something that's already been fired from the pits of a volcano. So yeah, it has to be something very light, and it's light. And I guess we're ready to put this thing together and maybe get a test run eventually. Peace. Hello, this is the first edition of my version of the rocket stove. I've studied many other designs, and I kind of see the mistakes that some people are making. I'm not going to say that I'm not making one, so this is a trial. This is a scrap material plus a little bit of new stuff, but this is kind of where I'm starting out at. I'll probably go back and show some other video footage of how I got to this point that I haven't made yet. So I'll have to take this thing apart to show you. But regardless, here is what we're kind of working with. As you can see, obviously it's under construction. This is the burn chamber. It's 4-inch inlet here, but actually when it turns up, it will reduce to 3-inch. Then on top, I have a cap on here. That's for a later purpose, later to cap it off and vent it out. But this is the 3-inch burn chamber here. It's a little farther down in there. I'll have to extend it up. Grab another piece of pipe and just cut it off, but that's what the lid is for, to cut a hole in top of it. And then around the perimeter, this is actually 5-inch, so I'm going to have quite a bit of insulation around the perimeter of the wall. This insulation is what produces that rocket effect. It's a difference in air temperature from inside the chamber versus the outside temperature. That's the same concept when you say walk into a stairwell and you open the door and there's a rush of wind that comes through a building. And it's the same concept. That's what gives it that rocket effect. Down inside, this is just an old bucket I had laying around the house. I don't even know what it was from, but it served a good purpose. What I will be doing here is pouring concrete up to level, and that concrete acts as, it will store the heat that's coming from the burn chamber and the pipe. Long after the fire goes out, it will still store that. And relighting fires, it makes it, if the fire goes out, it makes it a little easier to get the fire lit and get back roaring to rocket temperature. Anyway, I've cut a hole with a little cheap tool here in the sanding disc. I cut it close to the size and then sanded it to where it would fit, because I intend to pour concrete in that, and that gives a nice tight fit. Now, after I pour the concrete in here, I will obviously have to take the bucket off. It breaks pretty easy. I think the bottom has actually got a hole in it, so it'll come off pretty easy. And that will store a lot of heat. Now, what I'm going to do initially is just do it as is just a typical rocket stove that you can put a top on and cook. You know, the fire coming out, smoke coming out. But I'm going to be coming down the back side here and coming out again in the bottom with an exhaust. Well, we got a test run here of the rocket stove. This thing started up easier than I thought. I'm pretty amazed actually. Just used my daughter's play sand to insulate the bottom. It's not filled up. And it's not quite finished on the top. But my goodness, it was so easy to start. I'll check back in a second and see how this continues to go. My first rocket stove meal. This thing is amazing. And it's just a prototype to see if I'm doing it right. And as you can see, obviously I am. Survival, people. Catch me on the next time. Peace.